In every powerful family, there are stories that never make it to the cameras. Whispers behind closed doors, rivalries that cut deep, and secrets buried under generations of wealth and power. For the Trumps, one of America's most talked about families, those secrets came to light not through enemies or journalists, but through one of their own. Mary Trump, the niece of former President Donald J. Trump, has spent years watching the family from the inside. And when she finally spoke out, the world listened. This is the story of how Mary Trump, a psychologist, author, and member of the Trump family, exposed the hidden truths behind America's most controversial dynasty. Mary L. Trump was born in 1965, the daughter of Fred Trump Jr., Donald Trump's older brother. Unlike her famous uncle, Mary didn't grow up craving the spotlight. She pursued academics, earning degrees in English literature and psychology, including a PhD from Adelphi University. While Donald was building skyscrapers and branding his name, Mary was studying the human mind, quietly observing the world her family ruled over. But behind the Trump name was a history of deep tension, financial power struggles, and family wounds. And Mary, whether she wanted to or not, became a witness to them all. To understand Mary's revelations, we must first understand the man who built the Trump empire, Fred Trump Sr. Fred was a self-made real estate developer in Queens, New York. He taught his children one lesson above all: win at any cost. For Fred, strength was everything. Compassion in his eyes was weakness. He rewarded aggression and punished vulnerability, traits that would later define Donald Trump's public persona. But Fred's tough love approach had devastating consequences inside his home. Mary's father, Fred Trump Jr., was different. He wanted to be a pilot, not a businessman. He had dreams beyond real estate, beyond the family business. Fred Sr. saw that as failure. Donald, on the other hand, absorbed his father's ambition completely, becoming the favorite son. That contrast, between the brother who rebelled and the one who obeyed, would tear the family apart. By the late 1970s, Fred Jr.'s life was unraveling. In 1981, Fred Trump Jr. died at just 42 years old, a tragedy that shook the family but also exposed its fractures. In her book Too Much and Never Enough, Mary later described the moment as a turning point, one that revealed how emotional neglect had shaped the entire Trump household. Donald, she said, learned early that empathy had no value in their world. And Fred Sr. encouraged that mindset, praising ruthlessness over compassion. For Mary, her father's death was more than a personal loss. It was the moment she saw the cost of the Trump family's obsession with dominance. For decades, Mary stayed away from the family's public battles. She built a quiet life, working as a psychologist, teaching and writing. But she never forgot what she had seen, or how her father's legacy was erased from the Trump story. Behind closed doors, legal battles brewed. After Fred Trump Sr. died in 1999, the family began to divide over his will. Mary and her brother, Fred Trump III, discovered they had been cut out of the inheritance, reportedly as retaliation for a lawsuit over medical care for Fred III's sick son. It was an ugly, painful chapter that further alienated Mary from her famous uncle. Still, she remained silent, until 2020, when the Trump presidency pushed her to speak publicly for the first time. In July 2020, as the United States headed toward a heated presidential election, Mary Trump released a book titled, Too Much and Never Enough: How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. The title alone made headlines around the world. In it, Mary blended personal memories with psychological analysis, painting a portrait of a family driven by fear, competition, and emotional manipulation. She described Donald Trump as a man shaped by a father who valued winning above love, a child who learned to mask insecurity with arrogance and failure with rage. The book claimed that the Trump family's dysfunction didn't just influence Donald's character, it defined it. Mary also alleged that Donald cheated his way through school, with someone else taking his SATs, a claim the White House denied. But more than scandal, the book was about emotional truth. It was Mary's attempt to explain how her uncle became the person the world saw on television, in rallies, and in the Oval Office. The Trump family's response was swift and fierce. Donald Trump called Mary a mess and a disgruntled niece. The White House dismissed the book as fiction. Meanwhile, Trump's younger brother, Robert Trump, tried to stop its publication, filing a lawsuit to block its release. But a New York judge ruled in Mary's favor, citing her constitutional right to free speech. When the book finally hit shelves, it became an instant bestseller, selling nearly 1 million copies in its first day. Mary's voice had broken through the Trump media machine. For the first time, someone inside the family had spoken openly, and the public was listening. The book was only the beginning. Soon after, the Washington Post released secretly recorded tapes between Mary and her aunt, Marianne Trump Barry, Donald's older sister and a retired federal judge. Not only did it confirm much of what Mary had written, but it also revealed a rare glimpse into the private feelings of a family that had built its reputation on strength and loyalty. For Mary, releasing the tapes wasn't revenge, it was revelation. She said she wanted people to see what the Trump family truly valued: power over honesty, image over integrity. As a trained clinical psychologist, Mary brought a unique lens to her family's story. She described Donald Trump as a man trapped in emotional immaturity, someone who never learned empathy because his father taught him that emotions were weakness. In interviews, she explained that the family dynamic rewarded dominance and punished vulnerability. In that environment, love was conditional, based on success and strength. Her analysis was not just personal but professional, an attempt to decode the psychology behind one of the world's most powerful men. To many, it offered a deeper understanding of Donald Trump's behavior in office. His obsession with loyalty, his intolerance for criticism, and his constant need for validation. Mary's revelations didn't end with her first book. In 2021, she filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump, his sister Marianne, and their late brother Robert's estate, accusing them of fraud and conspiracy over her inheritance. She claimed the family manipulated property values to cheat her out of tens of millions of dollars. But for Mary, it wasn't just about money, it was about truth. That same year, she released another book, The Reckoning, exploring the psychological toll of the Trump presidency on America itself. She argued that her uncle's rise to power reflected a deeper national trauma, one rooted in fear, division, and denial. Through her writing and interviews, Mary became a voice not of revenge but of reckoning, urging the country to confront not only Donald Trump's actions, but the systems that allowed them. Speaking out against one's family is never easy. For Mary Trump, it came at a personal cost. She was ostracized from relatives, criticized by Trump supporters, and dismissed as disloyal. But she remained steadfast. "I'm not doing this because I hate him," she said in an interview. "I'm doing it because I love my country." In a time when truth itself felt politicized, Mary's calm, analytical voice stood out. She didn't shout. She didn't insult. She simply described what she had lived, and what she had learned. Her courage made her both a target and a symbol, proof that even in the most powerful families, the truth eventually finds its way out. Today, Mary Trump continues to speak publicly, not just about her family but about democracy, justice, and emotional honesty. She has become a political commentator and podcast host, using her platform to discuss mental health and accountability in leadership. Her story reminds us that family loyalty should never come at the cost of truth, and that sometimes, the most powerful whistleblowers come not from outside the system but from within it. Through her courage, Mary Trump turned her pain into purpose. She exposed not only her family's flaws but also the human side of power, the side we rarely see behind the gold-plated doors. Every family has secrets, but few have secrets that shape a nation's history. Mary Trump's decision to speak out wasn't about revenge, it was about honesty. About breaking a silence that had lasted for generations. In doing so, she revealed that the story of Donald Trump is not just about politics or wealth, it's about family, fear, and the lifelong battle between truth and loyalty. This is the story of Mary Trump, the niece who exposed the family empire, and the woman who dared to tell the truth behind the Trump name.